everybody, it's Xuron, and today I'm going to show you how to make these earrings right here. So I call them beginner because they're, relatively simple earrings, and they use a gemstone, so you just kind of like weave around it. It's easy to get them, relatively similar looking. But I think that earrings tend to be tricky just in general because you have to mirror them. But here's what the other side of them looks like. And if you want to support me so I can keep making these free tutorial videos, just click on that little eye right there and stay tuned to learn how to make these earrings. I'm going to start by weaving with 28 gauge weaving wire. I'm leaving myself a little bit of room, so not quite. So here's my wire from far away, right? Not quite in the center, just like 2 inches from the edge or something. Putting my wire through it, holding it with my finger so it doesn't pop out. Putting my wires back together. I like to separate them slightly like this at the end so it's easy to get the wire in them, but then they're together right here. So my wire's coming through the middle. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to bring it around, down, up again and around. So now we've essentially wrapped twice around both of these wires. Now I'm going to bring it up, but this time I'm going to put it through the middle from the back to the front. I'm going to do that again. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is the pattern that we're going to repeat. 2 around both wires, 4 around just the bottom wire. And what you want to do is continue with this pattern until it is long enough to go around one side of your bead. And the way you can tell whether it's long enough is you separate these wires on the bottom. You take this innermost wire, you bend it up at a sharp 90-degree angle, you take your bead, slide it on, and then you can see how far your weave reaches. And the more you do, you just want to keep bending this around your bead as you weave. So obviously I'm doing this now, but you want to do this after you have weaved around it. And then once you get to right there, then you're done. It has reached the top. Alright, so I got all the way to the top. Now, where you started your weaving wire, there's this little tail. I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to cut it as short as I can get it. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to just push down that little end from me cutting it so that you don't feel it poking out. So now, up here, we have these 2 wires, and we're going to take one of them, the bottommost one, and we're going to put it, bringing it to the back, looping it kind of around the back, and putting it underneath this weave. This is our weaving wire. I'm just moving it out of the way right now. So then what you want to do is pull this wire through. And as you're doing it, you want to do it like a little at a time. You want to keep turning it to make sure that this gets you like a nice little loop and then it tightens it properly in the right spot. Because see, right now there's like a little gap right here, so I want to tighten this nicely so that it fixes that. There we go. Now I have a tight little loop. Here's my wire. Now if you have some nylon pliers, you can use them to straighten your wire if it got a little crooked like mine. You can just kind of do it with your fingers too. So now you have 2 wires. This is secured. Now it doesn't move, and you have a wire going this way and a wire going up. And you have your weaving wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking my weaving wire, I'm bringing it from the back to the front underneath this wire here. And I'm kind of coiling around it like this. And you want to count how many coils you do. So I did 4. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do 5. And I'm going to use my pliers just to tighten that up a little bit. There we go. So 5 wraps. Now you want to take some seed beads. I don't know which ones these are. These are like cheap ones from AC Moore. Unfortunately, there are some seed beads that I've bought that don't fit onto a wire. And I don't really know. I know there's like measurements, but I've bought the same size measurement, and then some have fit and some have not. So this shape, this more flattened shape, seems to fit better than the round ones. So what I'm doing is I'm just sliding a bunch of these seed beads on. I don't know exactly how many I will need, so I just kind of grabbed a little pinch of them, slide them on, and then if I need more, I can add more later, or 5 extras, I can remove them later. So after you put them all on, you want to take, I don't have my round nose pliers right here, so I'm just taking my regular pliers, and I'm making a little bend so they don't fall off. You know, if you tilt it, they're not going to all slide off. So what you want to do is have just one, and then continue your wraps on the other side of it. So 1, 2, or I guess that 1 goes over the bead. So if you want to count actual wraps that are like around the wire, that's really only 2. 3. I'm actually going to do 3 in between each bead. I did 5 here in the very beginning, but I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that first one, the little wire is kind of like on the bead. So what you can do is you can use your nails or you can use your pliers. Just be careful with your pliers. If you squeeze too hard, you will break the little bead. I'm just like turning it to try and make that wire go to the back. Alright, so mine goes all the way down. You know what's funny is that I had to add one more bead to have it like reach perfectly across, and I had broken one bead, so if I didn't break one, I would have, the beads I put on here would have been like the perfect amount. That's good estimating. So I did 5 little wraps here at the very end instead of 3, just like I did in the beginning. Now you can cut your weaving wire and pinch that little end down. Sometimes it helps to like pinch it and turn so it kind of turns it into the right spot. You want to shape it around so that it goes around your stone. Now we have this wire too, and this wire we're going to have it coming up, so you can go ahead and start bending it in that direction. Okay, so alright, so there's this wire as well. Bend that down. So now my wires are kind of shaped around my stone except for this straight one. Alright, so this is the back, so to speak. I mean, the earrings are kind of reversible. Since they're earrings, you want them to look nice from kind of all sides. But this is the back because we've been looking at this side this whole time. So this wire that's coming up here, lift it up a little bit. Now take this wire with the seed beads, and if you notice on the back, you got like the little wire going across the seed beads. So since it's going across them, that kind of looks nice too, I think. But anyways, take the wire with the seed beads and wrap it around. You want to make sure that it's like you're holding it so that it's not far away from your bead. Like hold it nice this way, and you're just kind of making a loop around this wire here like that. And then you just want to cut it. Leave yourself like a little tail when you cut it, so that you can grab that tail and you can turn it under like this. And it's kind of like an open loop right now, so I'm just gonna close it. And now this wire here, here's the front. I want this wire to kind of go right on the side of my wire with the seed beads, so I'm just kind of pulling it around the side of it. I don't want to pull it too much because I don't want it to pop like in the back or in front of it. I want it to be right on the side. And I'm also wrapping around this wire in the same manner that I did before with the other one. Now I'm leaving myself a longer tail, and I'm making a little curl, like a little loop. That's going to be, instead of going all the way around my wire, it's going to be kind of like right here on top. So it looks like it's just a bunch of wrapped wire, and then it ends with this little curl. I'm just trying to make it, I mean, you can do however you want. I'm just trying to make it look pretty from this side as well. So here's the back, or one side, and then here's the other side. So now we're taking this wire. I like it when it kind of goes onto the stone like this. If you don't like that, you know, you can kind of make it go on the outside, but I like the way that it looks when it's like right on the stone like this. And I'm wrapping it around here. And then I'm cutting it. Short. And I'm using my pliers to smush it down. Alright. Like this. And just kind of move it down. There we go. So now we're going to make a little loop at the top so we can put our earring hook on there. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm taking these bail making pliers and I'm bending it, and then I'm holding it like this, and I'm using the second smallest one, and I'm wrapping my wire around it like this. And then one thing you want to pay attention to is if you want the end of this wire to meet up with this little end of the other wire, is pay attention to which direction you're wrapping it. So this little wire goes this way, and this little wire, I want it to kind of go the opposite way, so I have it going under here. So that, let me grab my pliers. So that you can wrap it pretty much like flush up against, like right up until it meets up with that little end of that other wire. You know what I mean? Like here's the end of the other wire. So if I cut this short right here, the two little ends are like right next to each other, so that way you can like pinch it down with your pliers and they kind of meet up. Alright, so here's my earring. My first earring. And it's got this side and this side, and all I have left is making the hook. And for my hook, I'm just using 18 gauge wire because it's a little stronger. It's not super thick. I think if you use like 16, that might be too thick, but 18 is like real borderline of like where it's strong, but it's probably not too thick for most people. So what I'm doing is I'm taking these same bail making pliers, I'm grabbing the end, and I'm wrapping it around, and I'm making a little loop like this. And then I'm taking the pliers, and I'm bending this. Actually, that was too much. Like that. And now, this you have to do by hand. If you have trouble with making these like similar looking, oops, sorry, I was off camera. You can buy little earring hooks. Actually, I think this loop is a little bit too big. I prefer if it was just a little smaller looking. So I'm just going to cut a little bit and use this smaller portion to turn it. Alright, so yeah, I like that better. I like the way that looks better. Okay, so this is my little earring hook. This needs to be filed. It's pretty jaggedy and sharp. You need a file. And usually this needs to be hammered as well. It'll just make it stronger, and it'll make this part look a little flat. So you need a chasing hammer and an iron block, and just kind of tap it, flatten this part. So those are the two things that need to be done that I'm going to do off camera because I don't really have a good way to hold things and show you in front of the camera, but it's really straightforward. You don't really need much detail to be able to do that. So I'm putting my hook on, and now I'm closing up this little loop. Oops. There we go. And now one of my earrings is complete, and you just want to make another earring just like this, but mirrored. That's the one thing that's tricky, oops, about earrings, is that they need to mirror each other. So when you're making your second earring, I'm not gonna, do it in as great of detail, but I do just want to mention that you're mirroring your other earring, so they're not exactly the same. They're like mirror images of each other. So with the second earring, this weave is going to go on the right side instead of the left. And then we're taking this wire and we're putting it through to secure. And then, after that's nice and tight and nice looking, this is the wire that we're going to put the seed beads on. So then you just want to count how many seed beads you had on your other earring, and that's how many you need here, since your stones are, probably the same exact size. So then the seed beads are on the left side now instead of on the right. And then this wire that goes on the side of your seed beads is here. Then you have this wire in the back. Now instead of being on the left, it's here on this right side. And now you're wrapping both of these around it, kind of one at a time. This is the one part that may be hard to match identical, is those little loops when you wrap this portion here, but you should be able to get it pretty close, just because this part is kind of like by hand, So I'm going to curl those in later off camera. It's just same thing. And then this, now if you want to be super perfect about it, you can check which direction you wrap this wire, whether you wrapped it around this way, whether you wrapped it around that way, and kind of copy that and then make this little loop up here. So here are the earrings. When I'm done with them, here's what they look like. And here's the other side. Now if you like the back better, the way you attach the hook, you can attach the hook so this is the front. Here's what they look like after they have been oxidized. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!